Hello and welcome to another episode of Maths with Mrs. Banks, where we make maths fun and easy to learn. And in this video, we're going to focus on Mathematics Grade 9, the June exam paper that was written in 2024. This is from the Eastern Cape Provincial Department of Education. And this exam took 1.5 hours, which is a total of 75 marks. And it is divided into a total of 7 questions. And I'm going to just give you a preview of what the questions are going to look like. First, let's look at the instructions. Make sure that you read the instructions very carefully because they will determine how you get your answers marked and the number of answers you get. So clearly show all your calculations if they say so. And they said calculators are allowed. In some cases, they will clearly tell you that you're not allowed to have a calculator in there. But if calculators are allowed, fun, no problem. We are going to use a calculator. Now, it is divided into section A. It consists of 5 multiple choice questions. And then we also have sections B and C. And these questions must be answered in the space provided on the paper. You're not supposed to write the answers on an extra piece of paper unless you need more space and you ask the examiner to show you or to give you more paper, and it will be stapled together with the rest of the question paper that should be handed in if that is the instruction. Now, section A has got 5 multiple choice questions. Answer the questions on the answer sheet provided. If necessary, round answers off to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places, not 1. 2 decimal places. Now, this is important because that's how you will be marked. You will be also marked on how you round off. So that is important for you to know and understand. Diagrams are not necessarily drawn to scale, so don't think because it looks like a right angle, it is a right angle unless they tell you it is a right angle. It is in your best interest to write neatly and legibly, but also very important, don't waste time. Have your time set out and make sure that you write as quickly as you can. If a question troubles you and you're not sure of what the answer could be, don't waste time on it. Jump to the next one. In fact, if possible, the first few minutes they give you to just look over the paper. Just go through the paper because that's important so you can figure out which ones you think you can start with because they are the easiest to work with. The goal is to earn as many marks as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can. So now let's go over the paper. This is what section A looks like. Question 1, there are the multiple choice questions. It's a combination of all types of questions, and then this is where you're supposed to, that is the last bit, that's the answer sheet. This is where you're supposed to answer, but we're going to answer on the page so that you can follow with the answers. And then we've got section B. Question 2 is whole numbers. There is question 2. And then question 3 is integers. Next, question 4 is exponents. And question 5 is the start of section C, and question 5 is numeric and geometric patterns. Section C deals with patterns, functions, and algebra. And then we have question 6. Here is question 6. Question 6 is algebraic expressions. And then the last question, which is question 7, is algebraic equations, and that is a total of the 75 marks that they told you. I'm gonna have this video in chapters so you can jump to whatever question or section you would like to focus on. Feel free to do so. I'm going to have this in chapters so you can just jump straight and not waste time. If you're happy with a section or you don't need much help there, you can just focus on whatever sections you want to focus on. Now let's start. Section A, multiple choice questions. Now choose the correct answer. Circle the letter of the correct answer on the answer sheet. On the answer sheet. Very important. That's an instruction you must make sure you maintain. We're going to answer the questions here, and then afterwards we're going to go to the answer sheet because I want to show you exactly how you answer the questions according to the instructions. If you want to change your choice, put a cross through the wrong letter and circle your new choice. That's all you need to do. Now let's start. Question 1.1. Complete. 1 over 5 is it an irrational number? Is it an integer? Is it a rational number? Is it a natural number? Now the best way to answer multiple choice questions is to first eliminate those that you know are totally wrong, so you have fewer options to work with and make a decision on. Now complete. 1 over 5 is it an irrational number? It's definitely not. It's definitely not an irrational number, so let's cross that off. Is it an integer? No, it's not an integer, because integers must be full numbers and not fractions. Is it a rational number? Is it a natural number? A natural number, these are numbers that we teach babies how to count. They start from 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're whole numbers, they're not fractions. This one is a fraction, but yes, it is a fraction. Is it an irrational fraction or a rational number? How do we know that a number is rational? A number is rational when it is and the numerator and the denominator is made up of your integers. 1 is an integer and 5 is an integer, so this makes it a rational number, and this is your correct answer. So let's go back to that page where we are supposed to cross off. So circle option number 6, number C, because that is your correct answer. 1.2. The list of numbers that is arranged in descending order is descending, means you go from big to small. That's what descending means, big to small. So let's see. Let's look at the first option. This is small, that is small, that is small, so no, this is definitely not descending. Number 2, this is small. As long as you start with a small one, a negative number is smaller than a positive number. So unless we start with a positive number, then we will be on the safe side. This is not going to work because we're starting with a negative number, which is small. When we descend, we come from the top to the bottom. So we must start with a big number and end up with a small number. Now let's go. 17 years is bigger than 9 years. It's bigger than negative 6. It's bigger than negative 19. It's bigger than negative 23. And this is ordered in the right order. So this is the correct answer. Now let's go over to the page where we are supposed to answer. That should be number D. Yes, that is number D. Let's go back to the questions. Calculate square root of 81 times the cube root of 27 all over 3. Okay, let's calculate on the right hand side. Okay, the square root of 81 is equal to, they said you could use a calculator. If you're not sure how to work that, let me show you how to use a calculator to work that one. Let's go get the calculator. There is the calculator. The square root of 81 is equal to, so you do that, square root of 81, and the answer should be giving you 9. There we go. All right, let's, okay, so that is 9 times, and the cube root of 27 is, let's go, so you go shift and then it will take you to the cube. We're looking for the cube root, so I press the wrong button. Shift and then we go the square root, it will give us cube root, correct, of 27, and that is 3. So that is 3 all over. Okay, that is all over 3. Now the 3's cancel out, and that leaves us with, our answer is 9. Now we go back to the options, and the correct option there is definitely C. The rest are just not the correct answer. So let's go and work out with C. All right, let's go. Mark C on number 3. There is the correct answer. Now let's go back to the question. And the question goes, number 4, 1.4. The diagram below shows dots that are arranged to follow a pattern. Okay, there are the dots. Which of the following is the general rule or formula for the pattern? Now, the best way to work this one out is to count the number of dots. So here we've got 6 plus 1, and that is 7. 7 dots. Over here we've got 2, 4, 5, 10 plus 2, that is 12. And over here it's got 2, 4, 6, 7. So 7 times 2, that's 14. Plus 3, that gives us 17. And next one is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 times 2 is 18. Plus 4, 18. 19, 20, 21, 22. So that gives us 22. So here is what we have here. So now the best way to figure out what type of pattern it is, or to find the general term, is to figure out first what type of pattern it is. First, we check if it is a linear pattern. A linear pattern will have what we call a constant difference D. Constant difference. Now let's see if this one has a constant difference, and then we can take it from there. How do we figure that one out? We find the differences between the terms. And this is how we find it. We go the term in front minus the term at the back. So that's 12 minus 7. 12 minus 7 gives us 5. And then 17 minus 12 gives us 5 as well. You can already see a pattern here. And then 22 minus 17. If you're not sure, let's use a calculator. 22 minus 17. Always use a calculator if you're not sure. So you make sure that that gives us 5. So you make sure that you get the correct answer and avoid making those silly mistakes which could cost you a lot of marks in a test or an exam. So now we have a constant difference of 5. Therefore, D equals to 5. And this is a linear pattern. Or you can call it a, linear pattern or a numeric pattern. Which of the following is the general? So now how do we find, we know that it is a linear pattern. How do we find the general term? The general term formula for a linear pattern is simply A plus in bracket n minus 1 times D. If your teacher did not give this to you, I'm giving it to you now. That's the secret. That's what you're going to be using until you get to grade 12 and beyond. So rather, learn to use it now. Nothing wrong with it. It will make your life so much easier. Now, A stands for the first term. A stands for term 1, or the first term, which is the first term. D is the constant difference that we just calculated. And you've seen how we find the constant difference. So what we do is we take this information and substitute it into this general equation, the general form. So let's do that. Tn equals to A plus in bracket n minus 1 times D. The first term in this series is 7, or pattern. It's 7. So where there is A, we put 7 plus in bracket n minus 1 times D. This is the constant difference, and when we calculated the constant difference between the terms, we arrived at the number 5. So that's what we put there. Now we simplify or multiply out. So that will be 7 plus. Now we go n times 5. We must multiply each one inside of the bracket by the number 5. So n times 5 is equal to 5n. And then negative 1 times 5, that will give us minus 5. And then we add like terms. The like terms are 7 and negative 5. So 5n. And then 7 minus 5 gives us 2. And that is the general term. It will be 5n plus 2. Now we go over and see which option gives us that answer. And the option we have here is number B. Let's check the other one and see if it will give us anything to put. Exactly. So number B is the correct option there. Let's just go back and double check that it is number B exactly. So that's question 4. 1.4 number B, and we come back to the table and fill in the correct answer. Now 1.5 says simplify, and this is the expression we must simplify. To simplify is to multiply out, add whatever like terms you have and all that until it becomes the simplest you can get it to be. So now let's write minus 8x squared minus a negative is simply plus. So that will be, okay, no, before we do that, let us work this one out. So that is minus negative x all squared. Negative x all squared means negative x times negative x. Now when you multiply something like this, first multiply the signs. Negative times negative, that gives us positive, and then x times x is simply equals to x to the power of 2, or x squared. So that will give us, inside the bracket, that will give us x to the power of 2. So that is minus x squared, so that will give us minus 8x squared minus x squared when we take off the bracket. Now this is a chicken, and that is also a chicken because they are like terms, both x squared. So now all you do is you add minus x squared minus 1x squared. You just put a sign in front of the minus in front of it, and then you will add like you would add your normal numbers that are not negative. So because ultimately the final answer should be negative, so this is how you add two negative numbers together. So that will be minus, and inside the bracket that is 9x squared, and the answer is minus 9x squared, or negative 9x squared. Now let's see which one matches that. That is number C, and that is how you get your answer right. So let's go back to the table. That will be option number C is the answer. And that is how you complete the multiple choice question. Now notice how I went through everything. Don't waste time, but quick. I'm taking it slow so that you can follow through. And if you needed help, you could know that now you've got the help that you need. Now let's go to question number 2. We'll be looking at section B, numbers, operations, and relationships. And this one, question number 2, focuses on whole numbers. Now these are not fractions. Whole numbers are those that you use to count. State whether each of the following statements is true or false. So how you go about this is you work out the left hand side first, and then work on the right hand side, and then see if they are the same when you've worked them out. So let's start. So for the first one, that will be 7 times in bracket 7 times in bracket 11 plus, that is 11 plus 9. This is the left hand side. We must use always the rule of BODMAS because it tells us the order of operations. If you don't use BODMAS, you will end up, messing your answer up. So you must always make sure you use BODMAS. Remember, BODMAS stands for brackets first, whatever is inside brackets, that's what you start with. And then off, that's your percentage, or off a fraction of, and all those calculations. And then D stands for division. And then M stands for multiplication, A is for addition, and S is for subtraction. So that means you start with what's inside the bracket and then follow this order one by one. If you got a subtraction, that is the last thing you use or do. That's the last operation you invent or apply. So now let's go. We've got those in brackets, so we start working by those in inside the bracket. So that's 7 minus 11 plus 9, that gives us 20. Use a calculator if you're not sure. I've seen people make very silly mistake. 7 times 2 is equals to 14. So 7 times 20 will be 14, and that additional 0. So the left hand side will be 140 degrees. Now 140 degrees. Now let's work out the right hand side and see what we can get up there. So that's 7 times 11 plus 7 times 9. 7 times 11 plus 7 times 9. 7 times 11, that is 77. This is the easiest times table for any number. 7 plus 7 times 9. If you're not sure of the answer, let's use a calculator. 7 times 9. 7 times 9, and that gives us 63. Let's go back. 63. 7 plus 63. So what we do now is we use the long addition method to add this two. So we go 7 plus 6 3. Now 7 plus 3 is equals to 10, so we carry 1. 7 plus 6 is 13, plus 1, that gives us 14, and that is the correct answer. So yes, this left hand side is 140 and the right hand side is also 140 degrees. So 140 is 100. And yes, this is true. This is true. They are equal. Now let's work out the second one. 100 divided by 25 in brackets divided by 5. So the left hand side will be 100 divided by, in brackets, 25 divided by 5. According to the rules of BODMAS, we must start with what's inside the bracket. So let's work out the sum in brackets. So that will be 100 divided by 25 divided by 5. That gives us 5. If you're not sure, use a calculator. Now 100 divided by 5 is, we know that 100 divided by 10 is 10. So 100 divided by 5 will be twice that amount. It will be 20. So on the left hand side, that is 20. You can use a calculator to check the answer if you want to. And on the right hand side, let's see, 100 divided by 25 divided by 5. So on the right hand side, we've got in bracket 100 divided by 25, and then outside the bracket we've got all of that divided by 5. Let's see, 100 divided by 25, that is 4. If you're not sure, please use a calculator. Now 4 divided by 5 is a fraction. It's 4 over 5. So that is 4 over 5. Now the left hand side is not equal to the right hand side, so this is false. Next question, simplify the following. Show all your calculations. Use the same rules of BODMAS, remember. Let me just have BODMAS here so that we can use this as a guide. So we start with whatever is in brackets, and then after that work out whatever is off, and then division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Now let's start with what's inside the bracket. 7 times 5 is, not sure, use a calculator if you're not sure. 7 times 5, that gives us 35. So that will be 35 inside the bracket plus 24 divided by 2 minus 10 times 10. So we dealt with what's inside the division. Now what comes, inside the brackets, what comes to the division? Okay, so we now work out the division, and then afterwards we'll work out the multiplication and addition. So that is 35 plus 24 divided by 2, that is 12, minus 10 times 10. All right, now the multiplication. So we go 35 plus 12 minus 10 times 10 is 100. We're done with the multiplication. Now we can add and then subtract. So let's add 25 plus 12. You can use the long addition method. 25 plus 12, 35 plus 12. That is 7. That is 47. So that gives us 47 minus 100. And now we know that the answer is going to be negative because we are subtracting a big number from a small number. So what we do is we just put minus in front of them and then subtract like we would a normal number. So that we go 100 minus 47. We know it's going to be negative, so what we do is we just put it in the brackets, inside the brackets, a normal way of subtracting with the minus in front, because the answer should be negative ultimately at the end of the day, but you subtract them exactly the same way. It's just that this one is going to be negative because you're subtracting a bigger number from the smaller number. So 100 minus 47 is 53. So that will be minus 53, negative 53. Use prime factors to determine, or you can just simply use a calculator. Use prime factors to determine the LCM and HCF of 60 and 54. So what you do here is you go 60 and then you go 54. Line the factors of them. You can do a factor tree, you can do a factor table. It's up to you which one you want to use. So we're going to make this quick and go 6 times 10. That is 3 times 2. And this is 5 times 2. So here are the factors of 60 and there are the factors of 54. Let's go. 54, that will be 7 times. Let's go. 54 divided by 7. No. 54 divided by 6. Let's try. 54 divided by 6. Yeah, it works. It's 6 times 9. Alright, let's go 6 times 9. 9 times 6. 9 is 3 times 3 and 6 is 3 times 2. So what we do is we line these factors up like this. Okay, so we go 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And then over here we got 3 times 2, 2 times 3 times 3 times 3, and then, okay, so we'll go 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. So the ones that match, we put a ring around them. Here are the ones that match. So they make up 2 times 3, which is 6. Now, the lowest common multiple. The lowest common multiple is what you get when you multiply 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 and then 2 times 2 times 3. You don't duplicate the one that I circle or put a square around that are common. That is so you don't duplicate them. So that will be 2 times 2 times 3. So that will be 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Let's see. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. So you should multiply by 2 2s and 3 3s and then 5. 2 2s and 3 3s, then 5. Here's the multiplication and then 5. So here is the lowest common multiple. It will be 540. The lowest multiple is 540, and the highest common factor is the one we've already circled in there. So that is 2 times 3, and that is equals to 6. And that is how you find the lowest common multiple and the highest common factor of any 2 or 3 or 4 numbers, or however many you line them up exactly the way I did. 2.4, it takes 12 hours for one person to clean a house. How many people will be needed to clean the same house if the job was to be done in 2 hours? So it takes 12 hours for one person. Okay, one person takes 12 hours. We want to know how long it will take, how many people it will take to clean the house, the same house, in 2 hours. This is a fraction type of question. How many people? It's not an AND method. We can use the AND method for this one. So what you do is you find the ratio of the hours spent. You find the ratios of the hours spent. So it will be 2. The people, in order to finish in half, it will take, here is the fraction. 2 out of 12 is 1/6. So meaning that therefore you will need 6 people to clean in 2 hours. Therefore 6 people will clean the house in 2 hours. That's how. Find the ratio, and then it will tell you all the information you need. So the number of people you needed for 12 hours is 1, and the number of people you will need for 2 hours is 6, because it is now crossed off. Sort of like crossed. Next, let's look at integers. State whether each of the following statements is true or false. 10 is less than -12. That is definitely false. 10 is bigger than -12, and this is the reason why. In a number line like this, your 0 is right in the middle, and on the right hand side we have your positive numbers, and on the left hand side that's where you have your negative numbers, and they go in that order. So therefore 0 is bigger than all the negative numbers, but it's smaller than all the positive numbers. 1 is bigger than 0 but less than 2, and then to the left, notice all, when you go from the left to the right, they get bigger. We'll go from the right to the left, they get small. So therefore -2 is bigger than -3, because it's to the right of -3, and that's how you figure out which is bigger and which is smaller. 10 is less than -12. That is not true at all. That's false. Next, 7 squared is greater than -7 all squared. Let's work this out. Let's look at the left hand side. The left hand side is equals to 7 squared, and that is 7 times 7, and that gives us 49. The right hand side is minus, in bracket, 7 all squared. So we square what's inside the bracket, and that will give us minus 49, which is equals to -49. Let's see. Is this greater than that? Definitely, that is so true. 49 is greater than, sorry, I made a mistake here, 49. 49 is bigger than -49. So yes, this is true. Six plus -4 equals to -4 plus 6. Let's work out the left hand side. That is 6 minus 4, and that gives us 2. And on the right hand side, that is -4 plus 6, and that is the same as 6 minus 4, which gives us 2. So yes, they are equal. So this is true. Next, simplify the following. Show all your calculations. All right, this is how we simplify. So we go, this is equals to -7 plus negative is the same as -9 minus 2. Now all of these have got negative in front of them, so what you do is put the minus in front of them and then add inside the bracket, because that's the answer we're going to get, except it will be with a negative. So 7 plus 9 plus 2, 9 plus 7 is 16. 16 plus 2, that gives us 18. So that will be minus in bracket 18, which is equals to simply -18, and that's the answer. 23 minus negative 4 divided by 9 minus 6. Remember to always use the rule of BODMAS. So we will start with what's inside the brackets. For the big brackets first, that will be 23 minus negative is positive, so that will be plus 4 in brackets, divided by 9 minus 6. Now let's finish what's inside the bracket. That will be 23 plus 4 is 27, so that's 27 divided by 9 minus 6. 27 divided by 9 is 3, but if you don't believe me, let's work that out in a calculator. 27 divided by 9 is equal to 3. There you go. That is equals to 3. Alright, so that is equals to 3 minus 6. 3 minus 6 is the same as 6 minus 3, but because we're subtracting a bigger number from a smaller number, we must have a minus in front and then a bracket, and then just subtract like we would normally. So that will be 6 minus 3 is 3, so that will be negative 3, and that's your answer, and that's how you get the answer. Next question, exponent. Match column A to column B. Write your answer in the answer column provided. You matching. Let's match. Negative 2 all squared is equals to what? Let's see. Negative 2 all squared in brackets, that is equals to negative 2 times negative 2. When we multiply, we must start with the signs. Negative times negative is positive, so that will be positive. 2 times 2 is 4, so that will be positive 4. Alright, so definitely this one matches. Next, minus 2 all squared, minus 2 squared, not all of it squared. So that is minus 2 times 2 in brackets. 2 times 2 equals to 4. So that is minus 4, which is negative 4. That's how you multiply that. So this one has got the answer, and the answer is negative 4. So this is how you match. So this one matches with this, and that this answer matches with this one. 4.2, state whether the following statement is true or false. Let's work this one out. On the left hand side, let's work out the left hand side. The left hand side equals to 3 to the power of negative 3 times 3 to the power of 3 all over 3 to the power of 3. Okay, you're multiplying powers of the same base, so that means you'll be adding the exponents. So that is 3 to the power of negative 3 plus 3 all over 3 to the power of 3. Now 3 to the power of negative 3 plus 3, so that will be 3 to the power of 3 minus 3, that will be 0 over 3 to the power of 3. Okay, 3 to the power of 0 is 1, so that is 1 over 3 to the power of 3. Alright, that's the left hand side. Is it equal to the right hand side? No, it's not. So therefore, the statement is false, because 1 over 3 to the power of 3 is not equal to 2 to the power of 3. In fact, this you can write as, if you take the one at the bottom to the top, it will become 3 to the power of negative 3. 3 to the power of negative 3 is not equal to 3 to the power of 3, and therefore the statement is false. Moving on. .3, we'll simplify. Okay, when we simplify this one, it will be equals to, remember BODMAS, whatever inside of bracket, and then you've got off. Off includes the square root of, so it is included in the O. So now let's simplify that. So that will be equals to the square root of 15 minus 6 is 11. No, that's 9. 9 over 9 plus 2 squared times 2 squared, that is 2 to the power of 2 plus 2, according to the rules of exponents. And 2 to the power of 2 plus 2 is simply equals to what? So square root of 9 over 9 is 1, so that is the square root of 1. And that is 2 to the power of 4 over 2 to the power of 4. Now both of these give us 1 plus 1. Square root of 1 is 1. And then 2 to the power of 4 over 2 to the power of 4, they cancel out. Let's cancel them out, because it's exactly the same thing. It's like 1. So that is 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. And that's your answer. That's it. That's how you simplify that. Now for section C, patterns, functions, and algebra. Question 5, numeric and geometric patterns. The pattern below is made using circles. Study the pattern and then answer the questions that follow. Whenever you have a pattern like this, always count the dots, always count whatever figures you got, so it makes life easier for you. So this is 1, and that is 4. Next, we've got how many? 5 plus 2, and this gives us 7. Next, we've got how many? Let's see. 3, 6, 7 plus 3, that gives us 10. Now the next thing you do is figure out what type of pattern it is. First, let's find out if it is a linear pattern by, or numeric, whatever you call it, by finding and checking to see if we have a constant difference. That's usually the first one you should start. 4 minus 1 is equals to 3. That's the difference between these two terms. 7 minus 4 is 3. 10 minus 7 is 3. So we've got a linear pattern here. So this is linear with, so this is linear pattern. This is a linear pattern with the first term A and the constant difference. The constant difference is 3. The first term is 1. And we know that the general term for a linear pattern like this is A plus in bracket and minus 1 times D. Like I said, if your teacher did not teach you this, take it from me. You are going to be using this formula forever. So rather learn it now, and it makes life so much easier. Determine the general term or rule of the number in circles in the picture. There, we've got the equation of the general term. So let's substitute the information that we need to substitute. So this is equals to, the first term is 1 and the constant difference is 3. So that's 1 plus in bracket n minus 1 times 3. That's the constant difference D, which is equals to, now let's multiply this out. So that will be 1 plus n times 3, that is 3n. Then negative 1 times 3, that is minus 3. And that is equals to 3n. 1 minus 3, that is negative 2. So that is 3n minus 2. That is the general term. How many circles will be in picture 10? So that is term number 10. N. For picture 10, our n is equals to 10, meaning that therefore we're looking for T10 will be equals to, what we do is to just substitute 10 where there's n in the general term. Minus 2, and that is equals to 30 minus 2, and that gives us 28. And the question was, how many circles will be in picture 10? Therefore, there will be 28 circles in, there will be 28 circles in picture 10. And this is how easy it is to work with patterns. If you know and understand the rules of the patterns, which are very easy to understand, that is why I teach this. as soon as I possibly can in the grades. Which picture will be made up of 448 circles? We want to know the picture number, that is n, when the number of circles is 448. So therefore this is what we want to know Tn is equals to 448. Therefore, what is that general term? The general term was 3n minus 2. Therefore, we want to know what n is when 3n minus 2 equals to 448. You can see for yourself. You solve for n. So let's solve for n. Therefore, 3n, take the 2 to the right and negative 2 to the right hand side. It changes a sign and becomes positive. Whenever you cross a border, the equal line border, you change the sign. So for 8 plus 2, that will be 450. And now we divide both sides by 3 to get n on its own. Okay, therefore n equals to, these 3's cancel out, and that leaves us 450 divided by 3. Let's take a look. Use a calculator. 450 divided by 3, and that gives you 150. So let's go back. Therefore n equals to 150. What does this mean? It means that picture 150 will have 488 circles. So therefore, picture 150 will have 488. 448 will have 448 circles. 448 circles. If you were to answer that in words, that's how you should answer it. There we could have used the space, but that's fine. I just wanted you to see everything. On the other one, we can do that. So we went Tn equals to 3n minus 2 equals to 448. So we went, therefore 3n equals to 448 plus 2. Therefore 3n equals to 450. Now we divide both sides by 3. Therefore 3n over 3 equals to 450 divided by 3. The 3's cancel out over here. And then 450 divided by 3, that gives us, therefore n equals to 150. Is it 150? Let me double check. Yeah, it's 150. So n equals to 150, meaning that picture (150) will have 448 circles. 448 circles. That was just me writing that properly over here. Now study the table below. X1, 2, 3. These are the x values, and these are your y values. This is a function. Write the general formula for the pattern and the form. Now, if you didn't know by now, functions and patterns are exactly the same. We just represented differently, but they represent exactly the same thing. So what you do is you check out what type of pattern it is, because that will be a linear or quadratic or whatever it is will match the pattern that it follows. So let's go. The first 3 terms are the ones which are able to tell us whether we have a pattern or not. Let's go. Let's check if it's a linear pattern. Let's find the difference between the terms. So that -2 minus 2, -2 minus 2, that gives us -2 minus 2, which is equals to -4. That's the difference between the first 2 terms, -4. Let's find the difference between the next 2 terms. Negative 6 minus negative 2. Negative 6 minus negative 2, that is equals to negative 6 plus negative minus negative minus negative is plus, so that will be, and that gives us negative 6 plus 2, that is 2 minus 6, which is negative 4. You should know how to do that by now. Negative 4. So we have a linear pattern here. This is a linear pattern, and the pattern has got the first term as 2, and the constant difference D is negative 4. So we have a linear pattern. The first term is, and the constant difference. The first term is 2, the constant difference is negative 4. Linear. And we know this as the pattern Tn equals to A plus in bracket n minus 1D. Right, so let's use this to find the equation. How do we use that? Okay, so we go Tn equals to, what is the first term? The first term is 2. And the constant difference is negative 4, so that will be 2 A plus in bracket n minus 1, so that will be 2 plus n minus 1 times negative 4. That will be 2 plus, okay, so 2 n times negative 4, that will be minus 4n, and negative 1 times negative 4, that will be positive 4. That will give us negative 4n. And then 2 plus 4 is 6, negative 4n plus 6. So therefore, if we was to write it in this format, it will give us, therefore, y is equals to negative 4x plus c. Therefore, y equals to negative 4x plus 6. And that is how you change form from pattern form to function form. Determine the values of a and b. Okay, now a is us finding the ninth term, or simply substituting 9 whereas there is x, so that we can find what the y value. Alright, y equals to negative 4 times 9 plus 6. That's what we do to find that. Plus 6. Take out a calculator. Calculator will give us negative 4 times 9 is, I think it is 45, or is it 35 or negative 35? Let's see. Negative 4 times 9, that is negative 36. Alright, negative 36 plus 6, and that will give us negative 30. That is equals to negative 30. And that is A. A equals to negative 30. Now let's calculate B. B, this is, we know that what term number gives us this. Alright, let's calculate it. What term number? Okay, we're going for, okay, so we've got negative 4x plus 6. What gives us negative 158? We need to find x. What is the value of x that gives us negative 158? So we take everything that is not x to the right hand side, minus 158. That changes into minus 6, very important. Okay, let's see what it gives us. Negative 158 minus 6, that gives us minus 6, that gives us negative 164. Negative 164. Therefore, negative 4x equals to negative 164. Now what we do is we divide both sides by negative 4, so we can get x on its own. But what we do to the left hand side, we must also do to the right hand side. And now these two cancel out with the signs, and the signs also cancel out. They'll become positive. When you divide a negative by a negative, it gives you a positive. So therefore x equals to, now let's see, negative 164 divided by 4, that gives us negative 164 divided by negative 4, that gives us 41. So that will be equals to 41. Meaning that therefore B is equals to 41. And that's how you find B there. Next question, question number 6, algebraic expressions. The following verbal expression is provided. The sum of the square of a number n negative 5 is divided by 4 and then increased by 12. Now this is how you convert from English to the language I call mathematical. It's a mathematics language, and this is how you translate. The sum, whenever you talk in sum, that's what you get when you add. And then the square of a number, you choose that number to be anything. You could choose that number to be x. So the square of that number will be x squared. It could be a, and then the square of that number will be e squared. It's up to you how you want to represent that number. It can be any variable you choose. And negative 5. Negative 5 is simply minus 5. That's what it is. Is divided. To divide, that's when we do this. We divide by 4. Then, and then increased by 12. To increase is to add. All right, so now that we've got the gist of what this is about, let's put this together. They say the sum of the square of a number. The sum, we know we're going to be adding, but the question is, what are we adding? What are we adding? The sum of the square of a number and negative 5. Yes, so we're adding x squared and negative 5. That's what we're adding. The sum, that's the sum. The sum of this is divided by 4. So after adding these two, you divide by 4. All right. And then increase by 12. After dividing, you go ahead and then add 12. And this is how the expression should be. Okay, so that will be plus minus plus negative 5 is simply negative 5. So that will be x squared minus 5 divided by 4. So that means you can write it as over 4. And then you increase it by 12 plus 12. And that is how you translate from English to mathematical. There's nothing to do with whether you speak English fluently. Even first language English speakers, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white or Indian, they struggle with this because it's the language called mathematical that they don't understand. And that's how you translate from English back to mathematical. Simplify the following expressions. That's 6.2. So what we do is we multiply out. When we simplify, we must multiply out, add like terms and all that. So now we multiply out this. When we multiply out a monomial by a binomial, we must first multiply by the first term and then the outside by the each one of the terms inside. So that will be negative 2a. Negative 2 times b, that will be negative 2b. Plus, what you do now is you go 4 times half, that is everything divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 goes into 2 once and into 4 twice. So that will be 2a. That we get left with over there. Now what we do is we add 2a minus 2a, that gives us 0. So we end up with minus 2b plus 0, which is equals to simply negative 2b. And that's how you simplify that. Next, 6.2.2. 6x squared, 6x to the power 4 plus 38x to the power 4 minus 12x to the power 4, all divided by 2x. Now notice that these are all like terms. This is 6 goats. If this is a goat, x to the power 4 is a goat, then there will be 6 goats plus 38 goats minus 12 goats. So what you do is you add the numbers. 6 plus 38 minus 12. Let's take a calculator. 6 plus 38 minus 12. 6 plus 38 minus 12. And that is equals to 32. So that will be 32 x to the power of 4 all over 2x. And now you simplify. 2 goes into 2 once, or you can just say 32 divided by 2. It's up to you how you want to simplify that. 2 goes into 2 once and into 32 16 times. And then now we've got the x. This is what you can do with the x. So that is 16x to the power of 4. And now you take the x to the top. It becomes x to the minus 1. So that gives us 16. Now when you multiply powers of the same base, you must add the exponent. You could have just said, because this is at the bottom, let me show you. You could have said, because this is at the bottom, then what happens is that will be 16 and then x to the power of 4 minus 1, because you're subtracting the exponent of the power at the bottom, which leaves you with 16 x to the power of 3, because these are the rules of exponents. Next, factorize the following expressions. That's 6.3. Now people struggle with this one. I'm going to show you how easy it is to factorize when you know what you're doing. Alright, now let's factorize this one. The first thing you need to do here is to take out a common factor. What is the common factor? We've got 4x squared and then we've got 12x. Start with the numbers. Find the highest common factor of the numbers 4 and 12. What is the highest common factor of the numbers 4 and 12? Okay, let's find the highest common factor. And that will be 4, 3, 2, and 2. Alright, so let's line them up. And that will be 2 times 2. And then we have 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 times 3. That is for 12. So we circle this. And that is your highest common factor between the two numbers. It's equals to 4. So that's what you take out. So the common factor for the numbers will be 4. Now let's look at the highest common factor. Let's look at the variables. We've got x, x squared, and x. The highest common factor here is simply x. So the highest common factor of the whole expression will be 4x. Now, what you write inside the bracket is what you need to multiply by 4x to get 4x squared, and then plus 12x. Now, in order to get back to 4x squared, all we need to do here is to multiply 4x by x, because that's what will get us 4x squared. 4x by x is simply equals to 4, and x times x is x squared. So yes, it checks out, gives us the correct answer. Plus the number that must be multiplied by 4 to get back to 12 is 3, because 12 divided by 4 is 3, and then the x is sorted, so the only thing now we put there is 3. Let's check it out. Now factorization is the reverse of multiplication, so in order to check your answer you must multiply out. So 4x times x, that's 4x squared, checks out. 4x times 3 is simply 12x. Everything checks out, and that's the correct answer. Next, let's remove this because it's blocking our view. Next, to factorize this, take out a common factor. Here is the common factor, x plus 2. It's common, so you take it out. X plus 2, and that will leave you with x minus 5. And that's it, you're done. That's it. 6.3.3. Yeah, this is a trinomial. So what you do here is first take out a common factor. What is the common factor between 4 and 24? 4 and 24. Take out a common factor. So we've got 2 and 2 over here. Okay, let's see. For 24, that is 12 and 2. 2 and 12. 12 can be 4 and 3, and then 4 is 2 and 2. So that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And then the other one is simply 2 times 2. So let's match them up. And the highest common factor is 4. So we take that out. Okay, when you take out a common factor of 4, that leaves us with x squared plus x minus. Here is what is left behind. 2 times 3, and that gives us 6. And that's how you find. It makes it easy to factorize. Now what we do is we factorize the trinomial inside the bracket. So in order to factorize a trinomial, we must break it up in 2 pairs of brackets. So the first bracket, the first terms of each bracket will have x, because when you multiply them together, it will take you back to x squared. Now the next thing you do is you find the factor pairs of 6. All right, let's find the factor pairs of 6. We've got 6 times 1 and 3 times 2. Notice how I am on the left hand side. I'm going from the biggest, and then we take it step by step as we lower it, as the right hand side grows. So these are the factor pairs. Order them this way. This way you never get to miss a factor pair that actually ends up being the one that you need to get the answer right. Now what we can do here is that when we add 6 and 1, that will give us 7. 6 plus 1 will give us 7. And then when we subtract, 6 minus 1 will give us 5. These are the combinations we can get from 6 times 1. Over here, 3 plus 2 will give us 5. Or 3 minus 2 when we subtract will give us 1. Now the factor pair combination that gives us what we have in the middle term, which is 1, is this one, 3 and 2. And therefore, this is the factor pair we use. Now notice it does not matter whether you put 2 here or 3 here, as long as you put the correct signs in front of the correct factor. Now we've got the last term is negative and the middle term is positive. Now if the last term is negative, because in order to get the last term we must multiply, it means that we will have a combination of a plus and a minus to achieve that. Now where do we put the plus or where do we put the minus depends on what we have in the middle here. The middle term is positive, so we must put positive in front of the bigger term, and the bigger factor here is 3, so we put plus here and then minus here. So let's check it out. When we multiply them together, they'll give you negative 6, so it checks out. And when we add them together, 3 minus 2, they will give us 1 with a positive, and that is correct, and that's how you make that decision and determination. Next, determine the value of x squared minus 2xy minus 4 if x equals to 1 and y equals to negative 2. So what we do is we substitute. This is a substitution kind of question. So wherever there is x, we put 1, and wherever there's y, we put negative 2. So that's what we do exactly. So that will be 1 all squared minus 2 in bracket. X is 1 and then y is negative 2 there. And then minus 4. And now we simplify by multiplying out. 1 squared is 1 times 1. That is 1 times 1, and that gives us 1. So we go back. And then, now to multiply out this complicated bit over here, this complicated bit, we take it step by step. Start with the sign. So we've got negative in front of 2, positive in front of 1, and negative in front of 2. So that will be minus times positive times minus. What sign will we have? Negative times positive is negative. And then when we take that negative and multiply it by another negative, this negative, it will give us a positive. So the answer here, the sign will be positive. And now we tackle the numbers. 2 times 1 times 2. 2 times 1 times 2. That will be equals to 2 times 1 is 2. Times 2 is 4. And so our answer here is plus 4. And then we'll write the minus 4 exactly the way it was in the beginning. Now 4 minus 4 gives us 0. So that leaves us with 1 plus 0, which is simply equals to 1. Next question, question number 7. Algebraic equations. Now when you can factorize, it makes solving algebraic equations extremely easy. So knowing how to factorize is the prerequisite to knowing how to solve for x. So now it's a trinomial. Let's factorize the trinomial. That's what we need to do. We must have a times b equals to 0, and therefore we can go a equals to 0 or b equals to 0. The factors. So the first factor, let's see. X times x, x in one bracket and x in the other bracket, and now the factors of 6. We've actually already done this. I just want you to see. So that's 6 times 1 factor pairs 3 times 2. 6 times 1 will either give us 7 when we add together, or 6 minus 1 will be 5 when we subtract. 3 times 2 will be 5 when we add, or 3 minus 2, 1 when we subtract. And the combination that will give us 1 in the middle, which is what we have over there, is the 3 times 2 factor pair combination, and that's what we put here, 3 and 2. Now the last term is negative, meaning that we will need these signs, negative times positive or positive times negative. It does not matter the order, but the order will be decided by what we have in the middle term. What is the middle term? The middle term is negative, so that means we must put minus in front of the bigger factor, which is 3, and the plus in front of the other one, and that's how easy it is. Now in the last one, remember, it was a plus in the middle there, and that's how we decided where to put the plus. It was in front of 3. Now we put the minus in front of 3 because this middle term tells us where to put what sign we should put in front of the bigger term. So now what we do is we go x plus 2, the factors equals to 0, or x minus 3 equals to 0. And then we solve these linear equations like we would any linear equation. So what you do now, x equals to, you just take this 2 to the right hand side and it becomes negative. Or same story over here. Take this negative 3 to the right hand side and it becomes positive 3, and that's how you get your answer. So x equals to negative 2 or x equals to 3, and that's how easy it is to get the answer like that. Next, we've got this function. Now, whenever you've got what we call a fractional equation, what you need to do is you first find the lowest common denominator. Why? Because we want to eliminate the fraction. So find the lowest common denominator and then multiply throughout all sides, every term. multiply it out by the lowest common denominator. Now to find the lowest common denominator, you can either just multiply the denominators together, but these ones have a common factor. The common factor 3 and 6. What is the common factor of 3 and 6? Easy peasy. 3 is just 3 times 1, and then 1 times 3. It's 1 times 3, and then 6 is 3 times 2. So that's the common factor here is 3, and the highest common factor will be 3. And the lowest common multiple, right? The lowest common multiple, which is the same as the lowest common denominator, by the way, will be equals to you multiplying everything together, and that will be 6. So now your LCD is 6. Now let's multiply each one of the, so therefore 6 times 2x over 3 equals to 6 times x over 6 minus 6 times 9. That's how you do it. So now we simplify. 3 goes into 3 once and into 6 twice. Sorry, it goes twice here. And then 6 and 6 just simply cancel out. They go into each other once. And then 6 times 9. We will work that out. 2x is what? No, 2 times 2x, sorry. 2 times 2x is what we have here. 2 times 2x, so that is 4x. Okay, 2 times 2x, let me show you what we have. Equals to x minus 6 times 9. Take to the calculator, 6 times 9. That gives us 54 minus 54. And therefore this is 4x equals to x minus 54. Take everything to the, that is x to the left hand side, and the numbers, leave them on the right hand side. Now let's solve for this x. Therefore 3x equals to negative 54, and now we divide both sides by 3. Minus 54 over 3. The 3's cancel out, and therefore let's get the answer. Therefore x equals to negative 54 divided by 3. Negative 54 divided by 3 will be negative 18. X equals to negative 18 is the answer. And now for the very last question. This is an exponential equation. What do you do with exponential equations is you first convert what you have on the right hand side to an exponent with the base, the same base, but a different power. Let's see. So what you do is you take out a calculator and you write the number there, right on the right hand side, that's 64, and then go equal to shift and then the effect button with the mini buttons there, and it will turn that 64 into a power. There it's 2 to the power of 6. Easy peasy there. So that's 2 to the power of 6. Now that you've got powers of the same base equal, what you can do now is you just simply equate the exponents. There. That's what you now equate. Therefore, minus 2x plus 2 equals to 6. Now you solve this as you would any linear equation. 6 minus 2. Remember, when you take it across the equal line border, always remember to change the sign. So that will be 4. Now you divide both sides by negative 2. What you do to the left hand side, you must also do to the right hand side. And therefore, okay, now these ones cancel out, including the signs. They give you a positive over here. All right, the signs also cancel out, give you a positive, and therefore x on the left hand side will be equals to 4 divided by 2 is 2, but because we have a negative, that will be negative 2. And that's how you find the answer to that question. We've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can always skip or go to the section that you want. I'm going to have chapters done. Enjoy, and bye-bye.